to the fourth episode of our podcast. So this week we're gonna run through a few things with you guys, and hopefully you guys enjoy listening. So, what's going on, man? How's it going, Mitchell?
What's up, dude? It's going all right, man.
What you been up to all week?
Well, we'll get into it later,
Yeah.
but I've been hitting the gym.
Wow. Hello. Who is this?
Yeah, I'm a whole new man.
Yeah.
Just been doing these freaking online courses, man. Yeah, it kind of blows, but yeah.
Sounds about right. Yeah. I mean, pretty much the same with you. I mean, a lot of online / in person. Well, actually, this week for me, I'm on a stew back, so it's like a student vacation. So we don't have class this week. It's like a break in the middle of the semester. So that's pretty cool. And we're gonna hurry up and finish this podcast so I can go get yum chai and get chicken feet.
Is that your plan?
Yep, that's the plan.
Where is it?
Huh?
Yum cha?
Yeah, that's what's it called?
That's the dish?
Well, no, it's yum cha. Basically, it's like, you know, where those ladies push around the carts and they have all different stuff that's steamed in like a little wooden steamer. I don't know if you guys have it in Chicago or not, but it's very common.
Oh,
because it's like a Cantonese styled, kind of like a breakfast thing, right? Where you sit down,
yeah,
drink tea, talk, and like those old Asian ladies push around the carts,
yeah.
and they ask you what type of dish you want. You can get chicken feet, you can get like dim sums and whatever. I reckon Chicago just doesn't have enough Asian people.
Yeah, there's not a lot.
Yeah, because I've
I
been
don't think
to
there's
one in
very
San
many.
Francisco. I've been to them in San Francisco and like LA and
Hmm.
stuff. So I know they're around in the States for sure, but just
Yeah, two
probably
places in Chicago to get high quality or at least somewhat authentic
yeah,
Asian food is Chinatown, of course,
yeah,
which is kind of south of
yeah,
the loop. And
yeah,
then the train stop, there's actually a train stop like maybe 4 or 5 stops from where I live
yeah,
called Argyle stop.
yeah,
And there's a lot of Vietnamese like
yeah.
restaurants up
That's the
there.
stuff, man. That's the
The
stuff.
banh mi or banh mai
Banh mi, yeah. The
sandwiches.
sandwich, yeah.
Um, yeah, man, just good stuff.
Good stuff, yeah. Fantastic, fantastic. All right, let's get into something, I guess, more serious this week, because speaking to Mitchell and just letting you guys know as well as listeners, we are, once a week, not every week obviously, but we're gonna try to get you guys through some news, maybe
Mhm.
a few news articles and maybe a few topics, so that we can be entertaining but also be informative at the same time. So I'll let you take it away, Mitchell. What news story are we going to get into today?
Yeah, so this week, um, I was just scrolling through my. I use kind of two primary news sources. I use New York Times and I use Wall Street Journal for the most part.
Yeah.
And so I was scrolling through, and I heard that Japan has a new prime minister. Is that right?
Yep.
I
Yep.
think it's called the prime minister over there. And
Yeah.
I kind of realized as I saw that headline that I I know nothing about Japanese politics.
Right.
Um, I the last prime minister was Shinzo Abe.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
Um, I really know nothing about
Yeah.
Japan and their current political climate.
Yeah.
And I just think that like with the rest of there just seems to be lots of shifting and moving parts in Asian politics right now. I'm actually taking a class called Asian Politics.
Right.
So it's very I just seemed very relevant and I would like to learn more about um, Japan's what's going on over there.
Right.
Um,
Right.
because that's kind of a big deal, I think, to have a power shift, a
Yeah.
new leader, especially with relations with China and
Yeah.
that everything going on over there. So I think so. I found an article on New York Times that hopefully will just introduce who this new guy is
Right.
and give us an idea of who what world politics is going to be dealing with
Right. Right.
next few years.
Right.
So I'm gonna see if I can pull it up here.
Yeah.
Do
While
I
you do that,
screen?
I would just want to give it a little background as well. Yeah, Asian politics is pretty interesting, I think. It's very a lot of it's very different, right? Their political systems and whatnot. So it's gonna be very exciting to see kind of what this whole story is all about. I mean, I'm very excited to actually have a read at it because similar to you, man, I don't really know anything as well
So
about this topic.
can you see
Yep,
my
yep,
screen?
absolutely, man. You're good.
Okay, I can see you when you speak, but I can't see you when you
That's all
are
right.
quiet. So that's fine.
My face is not that pretty,
Um,
so
but yeah, let's just start from the top here, and we can just kind of react as we go. Um,
yep.
all right. So the headline: Japan's next prime minister emerges from behind the curtain. It's pretty ominous. So if I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but Yoshihide Suga. I was pointing out earlier. It kind of sounds like sugar.
Mm.
Um, Yoshihide Suga's years as a shadow power in Japanese politics left him a bit of a cipher. Now he is emerging to take control of the world's third largest economy at a time of deep uncertainty. Certainly true. Yoshihide Suga charted an unlikely course to the cusp of Japan's premiership. While most leading Japanese lawmakers come from elite political families, Mr. Suga is the son of a strawberry farmer and a school teacher from the country's rural north. He is known more for expressionless recitations of government policy than flashes of charisma. And at 71, he's even older than Shinzo Abe, who suddenly announced in late August that he was resigning as prime minister because of ill health. Yet on Monday, Mr. Suga, the longtime chief cabinet secretary to Mr. Abe, was overwhelmingly elected as leader to the conservative Liberal Democratic Party during a conclave at a luxury Tokyo hotel. The party has governed Japan for all but 4 years since World War II and controls parliament, virtually assuring that Mr. Suga will be elected prime minister during a special session this week. He will have to hit the ground running. Mr. Suga will take office in the middle of a pandemic that has devastated Japan's economy, effectively erasing years of growth under Mr. Abe. Japan also is facing deepening pressure from China, hello, and North Korea, and it is losing a prime minister who built his foreign policy legacy partly on successful management of President Trump. The mercurial,
Management, management. No, that keyword.
yeah,
Management of President Trump.
the mercurial leader of Japan's most important strategic ally. While Mr. Suga has vowed to pick up where Mr. Abe left off, but he has never clearly articulated his own vision for Japan, the world's third largest economy. Okay, so it's the second time they've mentioned Japan as the world's third largest economy. Um, I don't know. Well, let's start there. Well, initial reactions.
I mean, I didn't think Japan's relationship with China was that bad actually during the Abe years Abe years, because I'm pretty sure they're now discussing a free trade zone like deal with China, Taiwan, and like South Korea.
Hmm.
So I didn't know it was that. I didn't know they framed it like it was really bad. But yeah,
Another thing I don't even know. It says he was overwhelmingly elected
yeah,
as leader of the conservative liberal Democratic Party. I don't know what that means in terms of his
right,
uh, political leanings, ideological leanings.
right.
I'm assuming Japan is a little bit different than the states in terms of what those words refer to.
I mean, I guess from that paragraph earlier as well is I'm just out on a limb here to say Japan's political system is probably similar to England or I guess in a way Australia, where whoever have the majority in the parliament is whoever pretty much will be like elected, right, as the leader,
Mm-hmm.
as the head of state, versus in America where depends on what the House and the Senate do. Like you know the Senate could be all Democrat, and a Republican president get elected. So
Right.
all depends.
And then I don't know. I'm assuming Shinzo Abe was just getting old. Just says because of ill health.
Yeah,
I don't know what was wrong with him.
I mean he's been around for a very long time,
Yeah, I
for
wish they
sure.
said how long Shinzo has been
Yeah,
in office.
maybe I'll have a
Um,
look now, but because I remember his name in Chinese as well
do you ever
from
remember him not being in office when you were a kid?
I remember when he was elected.
Oh, okay.
It was like his policy towards China was like a little more harsh compared to like the previous regime. That's all
Right.
I knew. Very limited, obviously. So Shinzo Abe has been the prime minister from 2012 to 2020
Okay.
and 2006 to 2007 briefly.
Huh.
Yep. And
So it
in
sounds like he's
2005
been,
and 2006 was briefly leader of the opposition.
but not of the country. It was the party.
No. Yeah. So basically the party that wasn't elected was the opposition.
I see. All right. Well, let's just keep going.
Yep.
Generally, politicians have at least a facade of expressing ideals, said Megumi Naui, an associate professor of political science at the University of California, San Diego, who said she would usually expect policy statements about the type of world that I want to see. Despite nearly a quarter century in national politics, Mr. Suga, who served essentially as Mr. Abe's chief of staff and as the main government spokesperson, hasn't really come out with very strong policies, the professor said. Still, news of his ascendance appeared to have reassured the nation after a string of revolving door prime ministers. And in Japan, where stability often outweighs ideology, Mr. Suga appealed to a tradition bound political establishment that resists change. In quickly locking up what had initially seemed a wide open contest, Mr. Suga demonstrated behind the scenes political skills honed while serving Mr. Abe for nearly 8 years. How quickly the talk coalesced toward Suga, said Mieri Solis, director of the for East Asia Policy Studies at the Brookings Institution in Washington, shows his political acumen. In many ways, Mr. Suga seems like yet another in a long line of door Japanese politicians. The most exciting nugget to emerge in recent news reports is the revelation that Mr. Suga, a Tito what? Teetotaler with a sweet tooth, starts and ends each day with 100 sit-ups. On his website, he says he likes river fishing and karate. This is an interesting. Sounds
Yeah.
like an interesting guy.
Yeah.
So this is not what I expected going into
Yeah.
this article. It sounds like he's a total boring fucking square.
Yeah. Just make me
uh,
think about, hey, like all the stuff people be posting on Instagram these days, man.
what do
It's
you
like, hey,
mean?
once you want to be a prime minister, that stuff might come back to haunt you, you know?
Right.
So Mr. Suga seems very, very clean.
Yeah, he
Very,
does
very
seem very
clean,
clean,
right?
almost too clean, almost
Yeah.
non-human
Yeah.
clean.
Yeah.
Um, this is really interesting, because if, when I heard that, Japan was going to have a new prime minister, I was
Hmm.
thinking, it's probably me. The reason I wanted to know more about it is because whoever this person is will probably determine, you know, where Asian politics goes
Yeah.
in the near future, because there's a lot. I mean, it's kind of things are changing. We're at a moment
Right.
seems to be changed, and but this guy, from what I'm hearing, seems like perhaps it's more about keeping the
Keeping everything the
establishment,
same. Right.
you know, which is interesting. And what I find funny is that you know, kind of translating over to the states, you know, Joe Biden is there seems to be similarities that I can
Yeah.
draw there,
Absolutely.
keeping the
Yeah.
establishment, maintaining order, not moving things really from
Yeah.
you know,
I think
where they stand.
a key, I guess, statement in this article is in Japan where stability often outweighs ideology. I
Yeah, that
think
was really
that's
interesting to
yeah, I
me.
think that's very interesting, and I feel like it applies to so many other Asian countries as well, where just from my opinion, obviously, the type of governance they've had since like ancient times, right?
Hmm.
It's always been a little more arbitrary than
Right. It's
like those
about maintaining
in
order.
yeah,
It's
like
not
in
about
then
shaking
those
up the system.
right, right, and then it's like all of a sudden John Locke came in with the Enlightenment period, right?
Right.
And
Wanted to
then
change stuff.
with all different ideologies and stuff. It's like,
Hmm.
I mean, even the party name, right? Conservative, liberal, democratic party.
It sounds like they
It's
can't really
like,
decide what they believe in.
yeah, right. Like that to
Um,
me is just it's very I don't know, it's very interesting because a lot of these type of ideologies are very just frankly pretty stupid, you know? Like a lot of it doesn't really I don't know, doesn't really reflect on the policies or
right.
who was even elected, right? So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
we'll see
they seem
about
to have a
yeah,
more utilitarian approach to government,
yeah,
where it's like,
yeah,
you know, it doesn't necessarily matter the ideology or party. It just matters that someone
yeah,
is competent to do the job.
right,
That's just what
right,
I'm getting from this article. It's just
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
already learning.
right.
um, where did the 100 sit-ups a day?
Yep, we've done that.
What's a teetotaler? Look that up.
No idea. Teetotaler. Let's have a look. T.
It says the most exciting nugget of information to emerge. was that he has a sweet tooth and that he does 100
Person who
sit-ups a
never
day.
drinks alcohol is a teetotaler.
Oh, I didn't know that word.
Yeah.
So he's a sober Sally, I see.
Right.
All right, let's keep going. Mr. Suga, who declined a request for an interview, of course, has it seems in character, uh, has promised to pursue some of the departing prime minister's most cherished goals. He's expecting to further push for a revision of Japan's pacifist constitution and the return of Japanese citizens kidnapped by North Korea. He's also said he would roughly stick to Mr. Abe's signature economic formula known as Abenomics. Yeah,
Abenomics. Yeah.
Abenomics. There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
Combining easy monetary policy, government spending, and structural changes of industries like agriculture. After showing a tiny sign that he might stake out new policy, a potential increase in a tax that has hampered consumer spending, Mr. Suga quickly backtracked. With global turbulence from the coronavirus pandemic and rising geopolitical threats in Asia, many Japanese may feel that a successor who stays the course may be just what the country needs. Japan is not a country with revolutionary reform taking place very often, said Christina L. Davis, director of the program on U.S. Japan relations at Harvard. Especially in times of crisis and uncertainty, being seen as a stable crisis manager could be an asset. Um, Mr. Suga may epitomize the status quo, but he has been a catalyst for significant change. He is credited with helping Mr. Abe push through contentious security laws that allow Japan's military to join overseas combat missions alongside allies. He was also considered a strong proponent of a bill passed 2 years ago authorizing a sharp increase in the number of foreign workers permitted in Japan. Some glimpses of his political hand have raised concerns. Critics say Mr. Suga has the architect behind some of Mr. Abe's more authoritarian impulses, including his consolidation of power over Japan's extensive bureaucracy and tactics to silence criticism in the news media. I think Mr. Suga is more dangerous than Mr. Abe. Kihei Mikawa, a former vice education minister, told the Sunday Mani, so many freaking Mainichi, a weekly magazine. With Mr. Suga as prime minister, Mr. Mikawa predicted bureaucrats will be servants or act as a private military. But perhaps the biggest question which arose after Mr. Suga became the frontrunner is just how long he might last. The answer may hinge on, among other things, his handling of the pandemic, the postponed Tokyo Olympics, I forgot that was happening,
Yeah.
and the increasing tensions with China. There are suggestions that Mr. Suga might call a snap election soon after he takes over. If successful, he could strengthen his hold on power. Hmm. So, what do you think, man? Do you think this guy's an authoritarian? Are you worried about it? Should China be worried about it?
I mean, I think from a military standpoint, not really.
Well, they said he plans to.
Change the constitution, right?
No, I think it said he expected to further
Yeah.
push. Oh, for a
Yeah.
revision of Japan's
Yeah.
So does that mean he doesn't want them to be as pacifist as they were before?
Well, the pacifist constitution is not their choice. It's from the Second World War.
Oh,
It's like Germany.
oh yeah, okay,
Yeah. It's like
right.
their militaries can't even be called militaries. They have to be called defense force
Mm.
because they can't have militaries or whatever.
Was that one of the deals in like the
Yeah, it's like it's not their choice. They acting like it's their choice. It's like
right?
it's because they killed so many people during World War II, and people were trying to
Hmm.
limit their powers, right?
There's interesting. There's a link to Abenomics. Abenomics.
Abenomics. Yeah.
This is a different article, but I'm interested in what that is. Um, all right. Well, there's not too much. Let's just finish this
Yeah.
article.
Yeah.
Where did I leave off? Right here. Okay.
Yeah.
If not, said Ken Higino, a professor of law at Kyoto University, maybe this is just an interim leader, and they will come up with some surprise, younger, more attractive face to go into the general election. But for now, Mr. Suga appears to enjoy considerable public support, with more than 50% of those surveyed in a national poll last week backing him to be prime minister. While voters see Mr. Suga and Mr. Abe as something of a pair, their family backgrounds could hardly be more different. Mr. Abe is a third generation politician and the grandson of a prime minister. Mr. Suga had an unremarkable upbringing in rural Akita prefecture, along with two older sisters and a younger brother. He was so quiet that no one paid attention to him, said Hiroshi Kawai. Jesus Christ, mate. Does anybody have anything to
That's
say
pretty
about this guy?
sad. Yeah.
A high school classmate who now works as a tour guide in Mr. Suga's hometown, Uzawa City. We have such proverbs as great talents are slow to mature, and a wise falcon hides its talons, Mr. Kawai said in a telephone interview. Now I realize that those words were created for Mr. Suga. According to a biography by the writer Iso Morai, Mr. Suga's father suggested he work on the family farm, but Mr. Suga decided to move to Tokyo. He took odd jobs, first with a cardboard company and then driving trucks at the old Tsukiji fish market before enrolling at Hosei University. When he decided to pursue politics, lacking family connections, he asked the Career Services Center for an introduction to a member of parliament. In 1975, Mr. Suga took a job as secretary to Hikosaburo Okan. I'm butchering all of these, but
Yeah.
a member of the House of Representatives from Yokohama, Japan's second largest city. His duties included buying cigarettes and parking cars. He also quickly learned how to cater to constituency. At Mr. Suga's wedding to his wife, Mariko, in 1980, according to Mr. Mori's biography, a supporter of Mr. Okonoji said he had bought shoes for Mr. Suga because he quickly wore them down going door to door to visit voters in the district. Sugas have three sons, but in a debate last week, Mr. Suga admitted that he had rarely been home as they were growing up. In 1987, he ran for a seat on the city council in Yokohama, where he became known as a shadow Yokohama mayor. He helped develop transportation links to the port and pushed to reduce waiting lists at city daycare centers. He has four eyes and four ears, Kochi Fujishiro, a former chairman of the Yokohama City Council, said in a telephone interview. He worked from morning to late at night. In 1996, Mr. Suga leapt to national politics, winning a seat in the lower house of parliament during Mr. Abe's first fumbling stint as prime minister from 2006 to 2007. Mr. Suga served as Minister of International Affairs and Telecommunications. Even after Mr. Abe left office following a series of scandals, Mr. Suga remained loyal. Jesus, how much more do I have? Almost there. Mr. Abe rewarded that loyalty when he came back as prime minister in 2012 and chose Mr. Suga as his chief cabinet secretary. According to Kenya Matsuda, author of Preview or Shadow Power, Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshihide Suga, Mr. Suga urged Mr. Abe to focus on the economy rather than the nationalist agenda that had consumed his first term. Last year, Mr. Suga took some steps to come out of the shadows. When the government officially unveiled the name of the new era and to mark the enthronement of Emperor Naruhito, it was Mr. Suga who dramatically revealed a calligraphic rendering of the name Rewa, earning him the sobriquet Uncle Rewa. Mr. Suga has also trumpeted his brainchild, a system that allows citizens to donate money to local governments in exchange for locally sourced gifts. Many small town governments, however, have lost money by spending more on gifts like marbled Wagyu beef or shipments of fresh lobsters than they raised in donations. On foreign policy, Mr. Suga has worked to fill holes in his portfolio. He visited Washington last year, the first chief cabinet secretary to make such a trip in 3 decades. For Mr. Abe, personal diplomacy with President Trump was crucial. If Mr. Trump wins re-election, the question, said Miss Solis of the Brookings Institution, is whether Suga can work the magic or whether that was a bromance between Trump and Abe not to be repeated again. Well, I mean, I know a little bit more about him now.
Yeah. Basically, he's nothing.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
That whole article gave me almost nothing about who the guy is as a
Yeah.
person. Geez.
I mean, it's very typical where it's like he kind of just grew from the institutional ranks, right? And year by year gets a little more power, very consistent, and then eventually got on the
Good
throne, man.
record. Yep.
Yeah.
Keep everything
Yeah.
nice and neat on paper, sounds like. It's weird. It's weird to read politics, that are like this, especially just
Yeah.
being consumed by politics in the States. I mean,
Yeah.
even the whole article, like, nobody attacked him,
Yep.
hardly any controversy. I mean, this is foreign to me.
Yeah.
Um, in a political news
Yeah.
article, no scandals. He didn't bang any hookers. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, even the one policy he was known to focus on was the economies, right? Which is something
right,
that's very like acceptable, not a lot of controversies, you know,
right.
right? Rather than focus on like nationalist agenda or whatever appealing to. It's very, very practical, I guess. Right.
So, what do you think? Do you think he's going to be just another Abe? Is it just the same? It's going to be the same?
We'll have to find out, man.
I guess.
Find out how long he sticks around, right? Because, I mean, as we all know, you know, head of state being there for 4 years, we're probably not gonna get you much done. Right?
Yeah.
Not gonna get a lot of stuff done being there for just a couple of years.
And I don't even know how much power, Japan's prime ministers or leaders actually have. I don't really know how their government's set up. Sounds like there were some worries about,
It
moving in a
sounds
more
like no.
authoritarian
Well,
direction.
it sounds like they will have a lot more power compared to like president of the United States.
You think so?
Well,
Yeah.
because Parliament, right? He's not only the leader of the country; he's also leader of the party that have more Parliament seats.
Let's see.
So it's easier to pass bills and
Right.
legislations, right? Whereas you'll
Hmm.
have less conflicts in the house when you're trying to get through some stuff. So
Hmm.
yeah, sounds
Guess we'll
pretty
find
good.
out.
Yeah, we'll find out. Yeah,
Well, they also talked about Trump, and
yeah,
the way they talked about Trump sounds like they almost assume Trump's going to get reelected,
right.
because it was like they put like so much, importance
Yeah,
on how he deals with Trump, but
yeah. Well,
Trump
I
may not even
guess
be in office.
yeah, if Biden gets elected, it's probably less likely they're gonna deal with Biden. It would be more like just
Yeah,
like yeah,
yeah,
okay, cool,
yeah.
yeah. I have a
Maybe, I mean,
yeah,
Jesus Christ, politics is boring. Like,
Yeah,
if this is what
yeah.
this is what
It's
it
like
boils down to.
Trump is the only interesting. Trump is the only person that's interesting enough where someone have to deal with him.
Right,
Where everyone else is just, oh yeah, it's bureaucracy. Okay,
right.
cool. On to the next one.
It
So
really does. It really does kind of reveal Trump as the ultimate outsider.
yeah, it's
You
literally a
know,
unicorn, right?
yeah.
Yeah, she just. Yep, that's your president, man. That's your president. Yeah. Let's let's shift to this, man. Let's shift to fitness now
All right.
for our kind of last segments of today.
Yeah, man.
So, as we have introduced previously in our first episode, my boy Mitchell's starting to work out again, right? Well, again, like starting to work out, all right?
Yeah.
So, that's very exciting. And we obviously in that episode we talked about why you wanted to do it, right? And whatnot. So finally happened, man. Good on you.
Yeah. I mean, this is well, it's kind of been like my workout schedule has been kind of sporadic
Yeah,
leading up till now, but I think I'm finding a groove. And like I said, I think in our first episode, my
yeah,
goal is to do like 3 times a week. So right now I'm on your typical Monday, Wednesday, Friday
yeah,
schedule. Um, and going to the gym has been really interesting too because I go to the during COVID. I mean,
yeah,
um, just how gyms are how are because it's different experience than if you'd gone before. And this is kind of my first time really kind of trying to get comfortable in the gym and use all the you know machines and resources there. Um, but yeah, I've been going to the DePaul gym and yeah, it's just it's just really weird,
right,
how they have everything spaced out. And I actually kind
right,
of enjoy it because there's not that many people there.
yeah,
'Cause I don't like it when it's super crowded. I don't like
yeah.
asking people for help spotting or people asking me spotting for that matter, or really anything like that. I'd rather just be left alone. Um,
That sounds
but
so bro-ish. It's like
what?
people, random dudes asking
I
other
got
people to spot.
I got asked like yes I got asked yesterday. He was like, "Hey man, can you spot me?" And the sign literally said no spotting,
Yeah.
but I was too nice to say no. So like, I was like,
What
"Yeah,
was he
man,
doing? Was he doing a lot of weight?
not really. It was just
Oh,
bench
give me a
press."
break. Stop that. Yeah, give me a
And I think
break.
he only did like 5 reps. It wasn't
Right,
even.
right, right.
But
Scared. Yeah.
but okay. So I'll kind of explain what I'm doing because I am kind of still trying to figure out what I should do.
Yeah.
And you know more about this kind of stuff. Um, have you heard of the 5x5 program?
Yeah, it's just 5 sets of five, right?
Yeah,
Is it?
it's there's like an app that and
Yeah.
it's
One,
three
three, five.
exercises
Yeah.
per workout.
Yeah.
Squat every day,
Yeah.
and then you do and then on the workout A, it's
Yeah.
squat, barbell row, I think,
Yeah. Yeah.
where you stand and pull it up
Yeah. Yeah.
towards your body,
Yeah.
and then bench,
Yeah.
and then the workout B is squat again, squat every day, and then it's overhead press with the
Yep.
bar,
Yeah.
and then deadlift. Which
Yeah.
so right now, what do you? My question to you is, first of all, your honest take on what you think of
Yeah.
that as a beginner program for someone like me. Um, versus some other totally different program. That, so yeah, what do you think?
I mean, I think I personally I think it's really good that you're
Mm-hmm.
on a structured program,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where you're able to track how much weight you put on every week and the
Mm-hmm.
increase, right? And progressively overload.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, obviously, I think we know this in high school as well. Whereas high school kids or whoever just gets started always want to do chest and arms every single day, right?
Right.
Chest and arms, that's all they care about.
Yeah.
Whereas I think it's it's pretty clear and it's pretty clearly have been scientifically proven that having a structured and progressively getting more reps on a certain weight or having heavier weights, right,
Mm-hmm.
is honestly the easiest way for you to track your muscle growth, right, your
Mm-hmm.
muscle growth. So yeah, I think it's good that you have your approach
Mm-hmm.
where you're extremely structured and calculated and say this is the same thing I'm doing every week. That's okay, I can do that for the first year, but let
Right.
me add 50 pounds on all those lifts,
Yeah.
and that way you'll be able to track your progress so you don't
Mm-hmm.
get lost, right?
Well,
And
that's how I
say
find it really
yeah,
easy for
yeah,
me compared to other stuff, because I think my biggest thing is I just want it to be simple. I just want it
right,
to be as simple as possible because when I start adding all these little exercises to hit these little, smaller,
yeah,
body parts,
yeah.
it gets confusing and I lose interest
Because I
essentially.
know, yeah, because I noticed as well in the program, there's not even anything for like arms, biceps, tricep, rear delts, calves. Like,
Do you think I'm missing some of those parts, or
no,
is it
uh,
all working, just not as isolated?
I think they're all working. Like deadlift, if you do a deadlift, besides your chest, like pretty much everything else is going, right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, even the overhead press or bench press, if you look at it,
Mhm.
triceps going, right? Barbell
Mhm.
row, your biceps working, even though it's primarily for the back. So
Mhm.
I think it's not that concerning at all, or where you don't have some of the smaller stuff, because I think at this point, if you just you know keep keep track of kind of what you eat a little bit, you'll be able to see results pretty fast,
Right.
whether that's through being stronger or bigger, right?
Yeah. Do you think those like the exercises that I'm doing that are more um full body,
Yeah,
you know, exercises,
yeah,
um do you think those if I'm more like, do you think because I read somewhere that like first and foremost the 5x5 program is about building strength, like
yeah.
just pure strength. So does that mean that potentially a different program would help me more with like how I look
I
versus
think
strength?
right. That's a good question you asked, actually.
Yeah.
'Cause, what I would say is just don't worry about all that right now, man.
Just
Don't
don't
worry
worry about it.
about it. Yeah,
That's probably one of the big mistakes people make
yeah.
is worrying
That's
too much about.
honestly one of the biggest mistake I've made throughout me
Mhm.
lifting
Mhm.
consistently now for
Mhm.
obviously high school, done it, but then obviously don't have a car. It's not up to me when I can go to the gym, right?
Right.
Whereas since 2017, since I graduated, it's always on my term. And
Right.
what I found that was I progressed somewhat. Like I'd say until maybe this year or like halfway through 2019, I was progressing, or maybe since 2019, I was progressing really slow.
Hmm.
Right, I was not going anywhere. But what I found was that I just overthink too much.
Hmm.
I think about, oh, this exercise is gonna hit, like having this perfect workout plan where it's like this exercise will hit this, that exercise will hit that, right? This part of the chest, that part of the chest. Where it's
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, man, if you just stick to that exercise and then have good forms, know what you're
Mhm.
doing, Be consistent with your rest periods, you know, well rested, and that obviously not only means just on that muscle part, also your central nervous system, your other smaller muscle groups surrounding it, your grip
Mhm.
potentially, right? Stuff like that. Be rested, go for another set, and then say this week I did this rep for how many, this weight for how many reps. Just
Right.
do over next week, and then maybe every couple months or every maybe 3 or 4 weeks you have to take a week off because you
Mm.
notice, wait a minute, this week I'm not progressing.
Hmm.
Well, you can then just look at, what's the issue here, right? It's like, if whether that's you didn't get enough rest, there's some
Right.
external stress, um, or yeah, or whatever the issue is, or nutrition have been a problem, or you notice you're going to the gym at a different time,
Mhm.
right? You assess on what's happening. Well, or maybe it's just a amount of weight you put on there. Last week you did,
Mhm.
you know, 50 pounds for 5 reps, and then the next week you put on 60. Well, maybe that's too much, right?
Right.
And then another thing also is just to keep the intensity at the same as well. It's every week you work the same, you know. And I feel like it's the easiest for beginners, at least, to just say,
Mhm.
I'm going balls to the walls. I'm going all out, right? Every
Yeah.
week. It just
Yeah.
keep that up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever, however hard you're going this week, go same way next week, right? And then just
Yeah.
kind of auto regulate a little bit as well, right? But don't really stress about the small stuff.
Well, that's what I'm liking about the 5x5 program
Yeah,
because you add only 5 pounds
yeah,
each. Well, each, um, not even each week, but every other workout.
yeah.
Um,
So that would be 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, pretty much.
well, like say I do. I think I don't. You might even increase squats at the beginning every day, every time.
Yeah,
So Monday you're doing 50 pounds. You know, on Wednesday you're doing 55,
yeah,
and you keep going up. But then there's a way. Then once you get higher and you plateau and you can't go any further, you either repeat and then try again to go higher, or if it's like genuinely too much, you can offload 5 pounds and keep going
yeah,
up. So it's designed, to just to
yeah,
be able to get as heavy as you possibly can.
yeah. I think
Um,
yeah, that's
but
good because that's kind of the auto regulation kind of we spoke about earlier, right?
right.
Is what if this happens? What do you do, right?
Hmm.
And then you have those different things you can do. Yeah, no, it looks good,
So
man.
so from your experience, if I
Yeah.
go and what I also like about it is that it only takes me about, depending on my rest periods, 35 to 45 minutes
Hmm.
to be in and out of there,
Yeah.
which I really like because I
Yeah.
don't like spending 2 hours at the gym. I
Right.
don't
Right.
like
Right.
I don't really like hanging out there,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be honest
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so I mean, do you think that, like, from your experience, do you think those kind of like quicker workouts can be as effective as like a two
Oh man.
hour?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was just
Okay.
man. Remember how in high school I used to stay in there for a very long time?
Hmm.
That was so stupid. It was so stupid. What's
It's a
point?
hobby.
Yeah.
It's a hobby at that point. It's just something to
It's at
do.
that point, yeah, at that point, it's just you like doing it, but
Right.
you can't tell me, hey, staying there 2 hour, 2.5 hour gets me the best growth, make
Right.
me the biggest. That's just
Yeah.
not true. Like same with me because I do like a similar. I make my own program, but I
Hmm.
do like a progression every week where I don't necessarily change the intensity much, but I change the amount of volume I do. So the amount of reps, and amount of sets I do.
Hmm.
Say week one, everything is only one set. Week two, maybe some exercise gets 2 set. week 3 everything gets 2 sets, and then last week everything gets 3 sets, and then I take a full week of deload where I go very light for a week
Right.
and just kind of screw around a little bit at the gym, and then I go back into the program. Kind of that's how my cycles goes now. But what I find is with the last week, so this week, because this week's I'm on my like the most voluminous week, right? Where it's everything's 3
Mm-hmm.
sets. It takes me like an hour and 25 minutes maybe to finish the gym that day.
Hmm.
All my other
Is that
weeks
because of the
are,
rest periods?
it's just the amount of work I have to do,
Okay.
right? Whereas, say 3-4 weeks before, only need to do 1 set of incline dumbbell press. Where this week I had to do 3 earlier this
Mm-hmm.
week. So it just, obviously you want to make sure you're rested, so it just takes longer to do them. Just as a matter of time.
What is your current schedule? Do you go every day or
Yeah, I go Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday, and then you get
Yep,
2 days off?
yep, 2 days off and then
2 days off?
repeat. Yeah,
Do you find that the 2 days off is better than just a 1 day off? Does that How do you
I
feel when you
mean,
go in on Monday or whatever?
yeah,
Do you feel
when
weaker on a Monday or do you feel good?
I think that's where the auto regulation thing again is. If I want to progress more and get more out of my lifts, every Monday in there, I have to go in there and be rested, right? I
Yeah.
can't I can't say like Monday right now I do bench press, like chest, shoulders, and tricep, a push workout basically.
Hmm.
Is I can't My triceps can't be sore or my shoulders can't be sore when I try to go in there and do more weights, you know,
Right.
than the week before.
Right.
It's
They
just
need to be almost at like
right.
that, be like
So,
starting
right.
level.
Yeah. And then 2 days was the sweet spot for me, right?
Hmm.
Whereas if for you it takes you a little bit longer to be recovered, take your
Right.
time, right? Be consistent with it, right? As well.
Hmm.
So that sounds, when you find wherever it is, just stay there, stick to it, and then just repeat, you know, because yeah, now my works are really short. It's like most weeks are between 40-50 minutes to an hour and 15. That's it. Right. So
All right.
it's yeah,
For sake of interest, I'll tell you
yeah,
what weight I'm at for each of my
yeah,
exercises.
yeah,
Um, because I don't even really know exactly like what's impressive. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
what I don't even know what I'm actually trying to get to.
yeah,
Like what is
yeah,
even humanly possible? I don't even
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Um, so squats right now I'm
yeah,
doing 115,
yeah. For how many?
5 sets of 5 reps,
Five. Okay. Yep.
and then overhead press,
Mm-hmm.
which is just directly above my head.
Yep. Yep.
Um, that's 75 pounds,
Yep. Yep.
5 sets of 5.
Yep. Of course. Yep.
And then my deadlift right now, and this is just kind of going with the
Yeah.
program
Yeah.
because you start out at the very beginning, and
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I I actually haven't gone in a while and done
Yeah.
this because I've done it
Yeah.
previously, but
Yeah.
I'm kind of starting because I don't really need right now. I'm cheating a
Yeah.
little bit, but I don't really need to go
Yeah.
all the way back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Um, and then my deadlift is 145 for
Yeah.
this is tomorrow's workout.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
be doing
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um, So, and that's not 5 sets of 5. That's 1 set of 5 reps,
Right.
and that's it. And that's the whole
Right.
workout.
Right. That's good.
Um,
Yeah. Looks good.
so I don't know. I mean, what's considered like, at least for my body type, do
Yeah.
you know what would be considered like a good
Yeah.
squat? Like for
Yeah.
someone who
Yeah.
not who's trying to. I'm not trying to like beat any competitions, but
Yeah.
like where am I going? Like what am I
How much do
trying
you
to
weigh
get
right
to?
now? How much do you weigh right now?
I weigh like 198
Right now.
right now.
For real?
Yeah.
My guy. How did wait a minute. 198.
198. I'm in the process of also losing weight. So this is a double. This is strength
Yeah.
and weight loss
Yeah,
journey.
I mean, obviously how strong you are depends on your genetic. Like not everyone's our friend from high school that just that's massive. Our one
Right.
Asian friend in high school. Whereas the first time he squatted 225 for like 10 reps, right? Whereas not everyone's
Jeez.
like that.
Right.
So obviously, yeah, I think the main thing for you is just like recomp and have less like fat and turn them into muscle.
Right.
Because like I'll be frank, like for someone your weight, almost 200 pounds,
Right.
like you're higher, obviously need to be higher than what you have right now.
Right.
But then that's just a matter of time and recomping your body, right? Switching out the fats for the muscles, right?
Right.
Because I mean, I'll give you a little bit of context. Um, I'm around 166 pounds right now.
Okay.
That's 160 to up to maybe up to 170, but like normally it's between that range right now. Even though I'm trying to bulk, I I squat, I bench 185 for 8 to 9 reps for 3 sets of that. And I squat 225. Actually, I just hit a PR this week. 225 for 10. I did 10.
10 reps.
Yeah.
225.
Yeah. Which I'm pretty like
Okay.
stoked about. And then I don't do deadlifts.
You don't do deadlifts.
No.
Why?
I think in my opinion, as far as trying to make your physique look better, doesn't do as much as you think it does.
Hmm.
However, for overall strength, power, health, fantastic.
Okay.
And I'll
So
probably
I
go
shouldn't
back to it at
stop
some
in
point.
deadlift.
No, no.
Okay.
I think that's the thing. It's at my at my point of advancement, right? I'd rather do something that targets that muscle group more. Say your deadlift targets your hamstrings, right?
Right.
Your glutes and your back.
Mm-hmm.
Everything in your back. Well, instead of doing deadlifts, I'll do a row of some kind, right? Maybe a machine chest supported row or maybe a bent over, right? Barbell. And then I'll do a hamstring curl. So it's specificity, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like instead of versus deadlift is more just overall everything.
And I have another question for you.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so I said, I am trying to lose weight
right.
while I'm gaining strength.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, in terms of my diet, what do you think I should be? And I know you're not a professional, but you know more
yeah,
than I do, so that's why I'm asking you.
yeah,
In terms of my diet, because I don't want to, because I know I need to be eating, you know, eating protein and stuff, but
yeah,
I also
yeah,
don't, and I don't want to undereat for
yeah.
gaining strength,
Right,
which might be possible. I don't know.
right.
Um, but I don't know. What do you think a diet
I
should
think
should look like for someone who's losing weight but also trying to gain muscle?
yeah. In my opinion, I think that's one of the actually upside about you being a kind of a newbie lifter
Right,
is you can recomp with very low calories. Like you can literally go on a diet, right?
right,
And then gain strength every week,
right.
right? Because it's just
Which
right,
most people who lift a
right,
lot can't do.
which I can't, right?
Right.
Like I
Yeah.
have to gain more weight to lift more, right? So
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
pretty awesome, honestly. Like it's a pretty awesome feeling where you're able to do that.
Right.
But I would say, yeah, I would say just be consistent with how much you eat every single day. Get them like
Right.
just don't even worry about tracking every calorie, man. That's too
Okay.
much work for you at right now.
Right.
Like pretty much try and eat the same amount of food and the same type of food every day, right? As
Hmm.
that be as consistent as possible. And then you can obviously in turn, you know, notice, see where your weight goes,
Right.
right? See, you know, it's not a bad thing if you're not losing weight right now because it could be just muscle growth, right?
You mean like instead of trying to lose too
Yeah.
much weight, I just try to replace that fat with
Yeah,
muscle.
maybe just instead of having this strictly lose gain mentality, just,
Right.
you know, cuz I mean, I think it's so far from me now how normal person I guess eats and stuff because I just look at numbers now at this point. But like if you just
You're a machine.
eat the same thing every single day, right? And it's kind of like, oh yeah, okay. And then just say, okay, my weight is what, not 198. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Let me just work on the amount of weights I lift. And then
Yeah.
gradually that 198 would look very different from the 198 you had previously,
Right.
right?
Yeah. It'll be a different
And I feel
story.
like, yeah, I feel like that's more sustainable
Mhm.
because in your case as well, it's like you're very busy, right? You have a lot of schools and stuff to do. It's
Mhm.
like make you go on a diet where I'll tell you this, like go on a like pretty harsh dieting phase will make your brain pretty screwed. Like you
Hmm.
won't be to focus as long. Sometimes you feel more lethargic, right? Need
Hmm.
more caffeine to get your day started and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like that type of stuff. Whereas don't worry about all that. Just worry about progressing on your lifts and you know, recomp.
Mm.
I'd say for now. And then once you get more advanced where maybe you're still this weight, but instead of 20% body fat, you're like at 10, 12% body fat.
Mhm.
Or now you can think about how if I really want to look good for the beach in the summer, hey,
Right.
let me cut down a bit, right? Let me cut down a
Yeah.
bit.
Right.
So, you know, just take it
Yeah,
day by day,
man.
6 months, a year, you know, you get there, man.
I'm in it, man. I, I,
Yeah,
I, I. There's been a there. Seriously, there's been. I mean, you knew me since high school. Like,
yeah,
there has been a shift in my mental state towards fitness,
yeah,
and I don't like how I feel now.
right.
I feel like I'm not what I should be.
Yeah,
You know, and
yeah,
I've
yeah,
never felt that before. I always just felt somewhat comfortable, which is how I feel and
yeah.
whatever. But now I'm starting to feel more, um, what's the word? Like held back, but
Yeah,
held back by my lack of, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
muscle, by
yeah,
by and just in also by sometimes I just feel like I'm carrying too much fat. I can feel it.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and I feel a genuine, like there's a drive inside of me that wants to be at a
yeah,
that feeling,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. Yeah, no,
um
that's awesome. That's awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Hey man, we're both 5'9", all right? We're both
We're
five
like the
nine.
same height, right? We're pretty
Yeah,
much
we're not 6 feet, so we're not
right.
6'2" or anything. So, you know, let's just keep that body nice and tight, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
All right, man. It's been great talking to you, and it's been, I guess, great talking to you all who are listening. So, this is gonna probably wrap up our episode this week, and obviously next week will be somewhat similar, have a little rundown, or maybe not. We're still trying to create this show that's as inclusive as we can and that's as transparent and obviously entertaining as we can. So obviously stick with us, uh throughout the changes and stuff, hopefully, so you can, I guess, get the fruit of the labor for sticking with us eventually, because we're excited about this, and we're excited, and we hope that this is gonna be something that's pretty good, right, that we're both proud of, and I hope a lot of people also listen to. So all right, man. Thank you for talking to me today, and thank you everyone for watching. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.